Hey everybody, welcome. Glad you guys are here. Yes, hello and hello. The double hand wave for y'all from Fox. Hey, so we're running a little bit late today. Fox had to do the grown-up, adult, responsible stuff. He was like volunteering or some sort of selfish thing like that. Yeah, but it was volunteering nonetheless. Not that kind of required. They're so mean, judges. They're so judgy. It said drive-through right there. But so that being said, we're going to keep the pre-show pretty brief here. But with that being said, I'm just going to say, hey, what are you guys' Halloween plans? What do you got? Oh, and best Halloween candy. Yeah, that's it, right? It's really quick. Yeah, we did it. It's Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. That's the answer to the question. I saw an article the other day that was, oh no, not an article, it was just a meme. And the meme was, just footage from a skit or whatever. A guy just going like, what? Huh? Oh, what? You can't hear him again? Why does it keep doing this to me? Hang on. I know we said all the funniest things on the planet. Hold on just a second. I need to make sure I'm checking this every single time. No, not that. Come on. Oh, right. It's down here. That's where I need to go. There it is. Okay, why is this set to default? It shouldn't be set to default. All right, say some stuff, Fox.
Some stuff, Fox.
There we go. Okay. There we go. We got it going. Okay. And yeah, we were apologizing that we're running a little bit late, but we'll be out there pretty soon. We'll be getting started pretty soon. But yeah, so the question was, what's your favorite Halloween candy, and what are you doing for Halloween? And Fox said Reese's. That's the answer to the question, and we agree.
The correct answer.
Yeah, it's the correct answer. But I was saying I saw a meme, and it was just a video of a guy going, "What? Huh? What?" And at the top it said, parents, when the kids ask, how did all the Reese's disappear? It's like, yep, gasp. But I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a mystery.
We drove back from Salt Lake City to Portland here on Sunday and realized halfway we have friends in Boise, and when we were there, it just happened to be when they had a trunk or treat thing at their church. So we went, and my boy had a good time. He went on a bouncy thing and got to go into a fire truck, but he also got candy for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's not quite old enough to just be consuming his own candy willy-nilly.
He just doesn't care. He forgets about it in 30 seconds if it's not in front of him. So,
well, you on the other hand are plenty old enough to consume candy all
right
by your lonesome. Right.
Turns out his favorite is also Reese's. What a crazy coincidence.
You know what? Want to know something incredible? 2 of my 3 kids don't like Reese's. I'm certain it's because
so you failed as a parent.
No, succeeded. That means I get to keep them all for myself.
Okay, that's a good point. Yeah.
No, so it's that they have convinced themselves at some point that they don't like peanut butter, and then when they found out that Reese's are peanut butter cups, they don't even want to try them. And
it's got peanut butter.
As a good, loving parent, I keep trying to tell them, but Reese's are incredible. They're the best.
Yeah, I would say that even if you don't like peanut butter, you might like a peanut butter cup.
Right. Yes, I wholeheartedly agree. They taste way more like rich, creamy sugar than peanut butter.
It's not the same.
Right. But they refuse to try, and it makes me sad in my heart place. All right. Well, hey, we should probably get started with the nerdy gritty because we're already running late here. So that means that, hey, Barra, good to see you, man. Glad you're here. We're going to be talking about my news part is going to be a conversation that you might appreciate. Hey, everybody, we're going to be starting a podcast here in just a second. This means that we won't actively be interacting with the chat because we are hoping to be able to syndicate these as an actual podcast someday. Barra says Reese's, Twix, and M&M's. All right. Twix are also really, really good. I have recently fallen for Kit Kats, and I don't know why. Maybe it's just the crunch in them, but like,
Yeah, they're not bad.
whenever I see a Kit Kat, I'm like, oh yeah. Yes, please to Kit Kats.
Really, it's just any chocolate.
Yeah, chocolate. Absolutely.
It's any chocolate except for the chocolate oranges that people have at Christmas time.
Oh, those are also, I love those. Those are great.
Those, I do not enjoy those.
Anyway, we're going to be starting a podcast. We won't be interacting with the chat because we're hoping to syndicate this as an actual podcast sometime soon here. But we will be keep putting your thoughts in the chat as if we are interacting, because we go back afterward. We go over everything and we chat with the whole chat afterward the whole time. By the way, Andy McKay, welcome. I just realized that was your first chat. So thanks for letting me know you can hear Fox, and thanks for being here. Glad you're here, Andy. So yeah, we'll be starting a podcast here in just a second. But yeah, keep all your comments, put them in the chat. Do that. Stick around, comments in the chat, because we go back afterward and we read through some of the comments and we chat about them. So with that being said, Fox, you ready to podcast?
I believe so.
Okay, here we go. It means we're going to pause this there, and I'll do the pre-intro. Cool. All right. In 3, 2. Today on the Nitty Gritty, should Christians be interacting with horror fiction, and if so, how?
One more world disappears inside it. Just another hopeless addict. World that makes a man instead. If the drums don't get you, the guitars will.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep into the details of pop culture. I am your spooky vampire Fox.
Boo! I'm Dez. That's
I'm a spooky vampire, so I wasn't scared. But if I wasn't,
right.
I would have been very
horrified. Absolutely,
I would have pooped my pants right there.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of scary, that's not a good segue.
No, keep going. I want to hear this.
Well, speaking of scary to some people, Magic the Gathering has continued to reveal just the huge, deep extent to which they are doing their crossover sets. Their universes beyond. Magic the Gathering has been increasingly doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on doing licensed tie-in sets.
One of our listeners, Farrago Fox, said that Magic is becoming the Fortnite of TCGs.
A little bit.
And 100% yes, and I'm okay with it.
We could have a whole episode about that at some point, and probably
Right.
will. But so they recently announced their biggest one yet. So that will be happening in 2025. A tie-in with Marvel Comics.
Yeah, Marvel.
This will be apparently multiple sets. Based on how they've described it, it will be the biggest universe beyond so far. The biggest one so far, as of right now, that has actually come out is Lord of the Rings. That was one set.
It was an entire set.
A whole draftable set. And there's some they're calling special edition collectors stuff. There's some more cards coming out this Friday, actually, as of recording this. So that's been, most of the other ones have been just secret layers, and then you have some commander decks and stuff for Doctor Who and Fallout that'll be coming out. Marvel is apparently going to be massive, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cards, which makes sense because the Marvel roster is deep.
Right. I mean, even in Lord of the Rings, each of the main characters has 3 or 4 cards of their own.
Yes.
And Marvel has hundreds of main characters. So yeah.
Hundreds and hundreds and thousands of characters they could pull from, and they will. They definitely will. And so what we want to do today, Des and I are both pretty excited about it. I know I am, because
yes.
I'm perfectly fine with the tie-ins. I like the tie-ins.
Here's what I said.
It's what got me back into Magic.
I don't follow the lore of Magic at all. 0%. I play the game because I enjoy the mechanics. And so if I can get those mechanics and see characters that I like in the picture and have their abilities have some sort of tie-in with the character that I like on there, yeah, I love that. That's great.
Well, Well, here's the thing that some people don't like. There's like this like worry that it's diluting the game, but the universes beyond have nothing to do with the lore of Magic the Gathering. There's no lore tie-in. It's not like this is a whole other universe. It's a universe beyond. It has nothing to do with the various planes of Magic. So
Right,
that's
right.
not even a thing. It's not diluting anything. Even if you are concerned about that, that's not how it works. So anyway, what we're gonna do today is I've got a random Marvel character generator here. We're gonna hit the button. We're gonna find a character, and Steve and I are gonna craft the card, come up with some abilities, maybe rarity, maybe whatever it might be, for that character.
Let's just
All
be
right.
clear. Cap is red, white, and blue. I mean, we just got it right there. Captain America
That
is
that
red,
well,
white, and blue.
that just makes sense.
Yep.
Yes. So yeah, we'll go with colors, we'll go with costs, we'll go with abilities, anything we want to come up with. Try to get that flavor in there, to tie it in. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay. Oh, nice. First one is Kitty Pride.
Ooh, okay.
Kitty Pride,
I have
everybody's
to like
favorite
stop
favorite
myself
intangible mutant.
trying to make it the Marvel Snap card. My very first thought was, okay, so it has to do the thing. Okay, but no, I got it right here.
Yeah, what's more Kitty Pride doing?
She has an ETB effect. Something like so in the comics, at least the comics from when I knew her, she had what was called phasing, where she could go through things.
She can turn intangible.
Right, intangible. And when she went through people or electronics, it like messed with it. Like the person got like either a little bit dizzy or off kilter, or
Oh,
the machines would explode if she phased through them.
she disrupts machinery, disrupts electronics, things like
Okay,
that when
so
she
then
chooses them.
here's what I'm gonna say. She is a 3-cost card. I'm gonna go with. She feels control-y, so I'm gonna go white. Actually, a white and 2 colorless. She has
Okay.
phasing. Phasing is an ability in Magic where they, leave the battlefield and then come back in, and then leave the battlefield and come back in. I think it's every other turn. Like she's in a turn, she's out of turn, she's in a turn, she's out of turn. It's an old ability, so I can't exactly remember. But enters the battlefield, destroy target artifact.
The artifact makes sense. Do you think something like a shroud or a hexproof or something where she something you can't touch her
Yeah,
when she
I
I'd
like
say
that.
maybe more of a hexproof,
Yeah,
because
hexproof.
she controls, she can control her intangibility.
I
Or
like that.
maybe, yeah, but the phasing makes sense to me. But man, there's just so many. The other issue here is, or the other thing that we got to think about is, Marvel has been around for 80 plus years now. Every character has gone through a million different like phases, and their powers are different at different times,
Right.
things like that. And so like Kitty Pride is also, has like random, at moments has different powers, and she also is like a pirate right now. Actually, she's literally a pirate captain, or at least has been for a good chunk of the current phase. So there's so many things like, yeah. So okay, before we get in, I could talk about all these characters forever.
Right. Oh, and she's a
Let's
1/1. I'll say
just
that.
one. Yeah,
1/1.
combat. Yeah. Okay. Who? Ooh, Mantis. Mantis.
Mantis.
Known,
Okay.
yeah, known for Palm Clementif in Clementif, I think is how you say it, in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
Right.
She's an empath. She can know what people are feeling. You know what? I'm gonna look up Mantis.
Yeah, look at it because doesn't she also have I guess if we're just going with the movie, she's an empath, but doesn't she also have some like
I'm sure
precognitive abilities?
I'm sure she's got something else here. Powers and abilities. Master of meditational discipline. Okay.
Oh, good. Meditation,
She can
the master of
meditate.
meditational discipline. Yeah.
Okay, she can heal. Okay. She has psychic empathy, a telepathic power that allows her to sense other emotions. Astral projection. She can astral
Okay.
project herself.
So really what we need to do is probably pick one of her abilities and flow with that.
Yeah, no, let's go with psychic, like empathy. How do we translate empathy into a game mechanic?
Right. Okay. Um how about Um, at the beginning of your upkeep, she can either gain the abilities of target creature you control,
Oh, I like that.
or
Okay.
take away the abilities of target creature your opponents control.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Or could it be something where it's target player reveals their hand, or reveals the top card of their deck, or something like that?
I mean, that's good. I like that. I will say that there is an enchantment called telepathy that makes their opponents play with their hands revealed, and so
There you
that's
go.
telepathy, not empathy.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like in Magic, telepathy is an established
Well, then that's okay.
power.
So I guess the difference there would be it's not play with your hand revealed. It's just reveal it one.
Okay.
Reveal the hand. You just get a brief moment of what they're feeling at the moment,
All
and then
right.
it's gone. That
Play
kind
with
of
their
thing.
hand revealed.
But either one makes sense. Yeah.
No, I like that. Okay, I'd say she's blue. She feels
Blue.
control-y. Blue.
Sure. Sure. We can
Yeah.
go blue.
Maybe
All right.
blue
Let's go.
white.
Oh man. Okay. Watcher. The Watcher.
Uatu.
Uatu the Watcher.
Uatu the Watcher. Okay. He has telepathy. Opponents play with their hands revealed.
All opponents.
Yeah, all opponents play with their hands revealed and the top card of their library revealed. I see that's what he does.
Also, he's a multiversal kind of guy. So this includes all other players. Like if you're at a tournament, everybody in the tournament has to play with their hands revealed.
Just, hey guys, I'm playing Uatu. Just yeah, Uatu.
Just
Yeah,
let you
okay.
know. Everybody has to know. All right, let me go with another one. Let's find something. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Luke Cage. What's Luke Cage?
Luke Cage, he's indestructible, obviously.
Obviously indestructible. No problem there. He's got to be pretty beefy. I'd say a 4/4, 5/5.
I'd say 5'5". Yeah, 5'5". Like
5'5".
not Hulk range beefy, but he's still got to be a beefy boy.
He's gonna take you down.
5'5"
Yeah.
indestructible. I think what will set him apart though is that he has to be cheap. Like I think that's it. He's a 5'5" indestructible,
Oh, but
but
he's on boots on the ground, kind of ground level kind
Right.
of hero.
red white. Red white.
Red white. Okay.
Hero
Yeah,
for
that
hire.
makes sense to me. Hero for Luke Cage, comma hero for hire.
Yeah.
Partners with has a partner ability with Iron Fist.
Ooh, I do like that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Partner ability. If Iron Fist is in the battlefield, he gets +2/+2 or something like that.
+2/+2.
Or no, he gets double strike.
Okay,
'Cause
sure.
there's two
There
of
you
them
go.
now. Yeah, yeah.
I love it. That's
Man,
great.
that would be a really good commander. Now I'm building a commander deck on this. Just like build up. Bear is saying 5/6. Yeah, because he's indestructible, so pump up his toughness a little more.
Higher toughness.
Yeah, 5/6. Yeah,
a
that's
lot of
right.
his
That's
strength comes from his inability to be.
Yeah,
hurt.
2 cost 5/6 with partner with Iron
Danny
Fist to
Rand.
make make him a double strike.
I love
Dang,
it.
I want to build that deck now. So
Yeah, there's got to be a heroes for hire commander deck. That's for sure.
well, should we do
Uh,
Iron Fist then, since we've mentioned him?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm gonna say Iron Fist will be red green, maybe then? Green white?
Definitely red.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not.
Red
just
felt
trying to
right to
think
me
of-
because red feels like the martial part of things.
Yeah, okay, yeah. He's there to do damage, and then red. Then he's got this. Yeah, white. I think red white makes sense.
Yeah, red is just stick them both with red white. Try not to
Yeah.
expand that color identity too much for your commander games.
Sure.
So then he's red white. I say he has got to be same cost, just red white. But no, man, that feels too powerful with them together if they have partner. Maybe here's the way we slow it down a little bit. Danny Rand is the card. And he's blue white. And Danny Rand has to, like, if he deals damage to a player, then transform him to Iron Fist.
Okay.
And then an Iron Fist, he's a much stronger. He's like, and we'll do him like opposite of Luke Cage, where he's like a 5/2, where it's all in that punch, all in that power.
Yeah, yeah, okay. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find let's do a villain. Let's pick a villain. Let's go with Red Skull. Red Skull.
Red Skull. Ooh, okay, Red Skull.
We just haven't had any black flavor, in there.
He's got red black, obviously.
Red black makes sense to me.
Yes. And it's
His-
going to be, he's got the black jacket and the red skull. Like, it's perfect.
His whole deal, he doesn't really have powers.
He's also like strong. Like, he's like Captain America, right? Where he's just like peak human physicality. But he's also like a master tactician.
Yeah. I think the tactician kind of leadership, like the ability to get people to follow him might be a way to do it.
Here's what it is. There is a Hydra mechanic where every time a creature with Hydra dies, put in 2 1/1 Hydra soldier creature tokens.
Love it. Yes.
And his is whenever you would put in a Hydra creature token, put 2 in instead.
Oh snap! Yeah.
So he doubles all your Hydra creature production.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, that's really good. Yeah, he's mostly no actual abilities, but yeah, the Hydra mechanic works. That's got to be that's a cool commander deck right there.
Yeah. That's all based on token production. Red black is really great for like token sacrifice and things like that.
Token
yeah, and it's a
sacrifice.
sack deck, and you're sacking your stuff and putting in more tokens to sack more. Oh man. That'd almost be too powerful though. Oh, when a non-token, that's what it is. When a non-token creature with Hydra dies, put in 2 1/1
1/1 Hydra soldiers.
Yeah. Or maybe the Hydra soldiers don't have Hydra.
Sure.
That's what it is. Yeah. So
I hope they're going to be listening to us. We're going to
TM.
get these exact.
Wait, no, we can't TM these. Dang it.
Dang it.
IPTM, I guess we could say.
Dibs. Give us a call. We're cheap. We'll give you the rights.
Come on, man.
$20. Okay, let's go with somebody. Oh, now here's the challenge. One last one. Aunt May.
Okay.
What is Aunt May's card? Somebody who is not powered, she's is typically just a side character.
Aunt May. Oh, well, Barra brought up a good point. Planeswalkers. We'll get to a Planeswalker in a second here. Yes, because I've already got one in my mind. But Uatu's got to be a Planeswalker. But we'll get to that. But Aunt May, I think she has. Is it called Soul Bond? It was an Innistrad mechanic where when you put a creature into play, you just picked another creature, and then they both gained an ability because of that. I think it was called Soul Bond. Was the MTG mechanic?
Okay, let me look at this. Paired your creatures up with each other. Choose another unpaired creature. Yeah. Basically, it's a little similar to banding, which is the older version. I remember that.
Banding was just toughness, though. They could block with a combined toughness instead of 2 individual toughnesses.
Gotcha.
Soul Bond. So I would say that she has a Soul Bond of
Peter Parker.
No, not in Soul Bond is just you pick when you play her, you pick any other creature in play. Soul Bond is if the creature dies, return it to your hand. Just saying she's that safe place to come back to.
Always supportive.
Her.
Always there.
Supportive.
Inspire. Love
so
it.
the creature that she's soul bound with, if that creature dies, you return it to your hand instead of putting it in your graveyard. If she's paired with Peter Parker or Spider-Man gets +2/+2.
Well, I mean, here's a way that we do some flavor. I would say it's only if she's paired with Peter Parker. She does not know that he is Spider-Man.
Ooh, interesting. And have like kind of a flip mechanic with Peter Parker and Spider-Man. All right.
Yeah, that would make sense. Oh, you could probably get a lot of flip cards with secret identity heroes.
Oh, 100%, yes. I a long time ago made a Bruce Wayne Batman flip card.
There you go.
Yeah,
of course you did.
Cool. Okay,
all right.
Then Planeswalkers.
I could do this all day. This is super fun.
I could do this all day. Okay, so but the last one is Madam Web is my other Planeswalker. Madam Web. Do you know who that is?
The name I don't know much about.
She is like this outside the universe weaver of stories but she controls the multiverse of all the spider characters.
Oh, I see.
And so I would say Madam Web would be a Planeswalker, and she would create like Spider-Man tokens from the Spider-Verse. They're just like I think Spider-Man should be a token. Spider-Verse should be a whole set.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is there could be so many. There's so many cards they could do with so many. Yeah.
There's so
The,
much.
okay, that would make sense. I'd
Yeah,
say that sounds like a black color
black blue.
planeswalker, black blue. Okay,
Yeah, I'm gonna go black
sure,
blue. Like she's
nice.
that dark control, but also control-y. So yeah,
Man, there's yeah, we could do hours of this, but we got to
hours and
move
hours and
on.
hours.
We got to
Okay,
move on.
okay, move. I'm doing my new stuff first.
Go
My
ahead.
new stuff is important first. Here's my new
What's
stuff.
going
You
on?
ready? The Texas Rangers are in the World Series, but they're playing the Arizona Diamondbacks, and it's kind of this weird moment for me as a big Texas Rangers fan, but also I love Arizona.
Hold on. Welcome to the Nerdy Griffey,
Welcome to the
where
Nerdy
we delve
Griffey.
deep into the details of baseball culture.
So, but I just have to say that I've been cheering for the Rangers. That's just, they've never won a World Series. The Diamondbacks have. And so I'm cheering for the Rangers. But like every time, it's just like when the Diamondbacks won 9-1 the other day, I was like, hey, good for them. That's awesome. It's been way fun. Neither of them, both teams lost over 100 games 2 years ago. Both teams
Wow.
were very, very bad. And they were the 5th and 6th seeds in the wild card this year, meaning that they were the last two teams anybody expected to get anywhere.
Nice.
And
That sounds like a more fun World Series than a lot of other
it's
options.
really exciting, man. It's been way fun. So anyway, it's been wonderful. I love it. I love baseball, and I just wanted to bring that up. Okay, what's in
That's
the actual news that people care about, Fox? That
hey,
people other than me and Barra care about?
so Xbox is apparently banning unauthorized controllers and accessories.
How do you do that?
Here, let me look at this. I'm on a Kotaku article here. Microsoft appears to be cracking down on third-party peripherals for its consoles, things that aren't officially authorized by Microsoft. They're getting error messages when they try to use certain off-brand
Oh.
controllers, with the accompanying text telling them that the devices are not authorized and will no longer be usable coming mid-November. Let me see. Here is, let's see, Xbox. Yeah, so oh, that's not right. So they're getting an error code that says a connected accessory is not authorized. Using unauthorized accessories compromises your gaming experience. For this reason, the unauthorized accessory will be blocked from use on 11/12/2023. So they're giving like a 2-week grace period for you to find a different controller, one that is officially accepted by Microsoft.
They should. Okay, this sucks, but at the same time, Nintendo's been doing this forever, and so it's
Yeah.
not like this
Yeah.
is an Apple that has been doing this forever, and it's not like it's not like it's unprecedented or unheard of. I think Sony already does this as well. There is no like third party. In fact, I think Microsoft is the only one that doesn't have or that currently does have third party stuff.
Yeah, third party and like custom controllers and accessories is something I've never really gotten into. So it's just a whole world that I am unfamiliar with.
We're not in the days of Mad Cats or Rock Candy anymore.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? Because
Yeah,
it's not USB, so you can't just plug it in.
right.
So I
Um,
think, man, maybe it would be nice if they did something like, hey, uh, tell us that you have something. We will send you a box with our shipment thing on it. Ship us your controller, and we will give you a $10 Microsoft Store credit. Just something
yeah,
like that. Like, hey, here's just something simple, and that way, you know what? You have this whole line of Microsoft third-party stuff that just gets not Microsoft, but like Xbox third-party stuff that you've bought because you support our system but couldn't afford our first-party controllers. Well, then, hey, send us all of it, and we'll give you a total of $50, $60 for all 4 of your controllers and your headset or whatever.
I guess, but what's the threshold for that? What if I just found a controller in the dumpster or something, or and just like, oh, cool, free money then?
I mean, they're already
Like,
giving away their games with a monthly subscription.
I yeah, I think a lot of the issue people have here is that it's not simply, oh, I have to use a different controller. It's, oh, I've trained extensively in Street Fighter 6 on this specific custom controller, and you are ruining the
Oh, I didn't
yeah,
even
there's
think about custom controllers.
yes, it's not just like like that is what's the issue here is just like the things that people create to interact with the Microsoft code that isn't officially authorized.
On that note, I think Nintendo has to allow some sort of third party stuff then, because there are like if you are competitive in Smash at all, you have a customized controller. Any sort of competitive Smash player has their they made it themselves
Sure.
Nintendo. Usually it's a GameCube controller.
Um yeah, so there's like Brook, let's see, Brook Gaming, an accessory maker. They specialize in fighting boards and steering wheel adapters. They're getting a lot of like, they put out a statement like, "Hey, unfortunately, our stuff is not going to be authorized for Microsoft." And then there's been some people tweeting about just, "Hey, this is a death sentence for local fighting game
Yeah.
community." If it's an official thing, official whatever, if you're at what's the Evo, if you're at like Evo or whatever, sure, you're gonna have to have a specific equipment that you can use. But if it's just something you're putting on locally without any kind of official authorization, then hey, nope, sorry, you have to use the stock controllers or no.
Well, and then I mean, to use sports metaphor, when you kill the minors, you kill the majors too, because there are
Mm,
no players who are training to make their way up. And
mm,
so, yeah, sure, it's going to kill all this local gaming stuff, which means that playing against people in your house or online is the only way to really prepare. And when you get wrecked over and over again, it becomes not fun. Like there's nobody to start training you or building up with you or anything like that. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting to see, 3 or 4 years from now, what the fighting scene is going to look like on Xbox. Because when we went to PAX several years, they were having fighting game competitions, and it was almost always on Xbox.
yeah, yeah. Oh, let's see. This is already the situation that's in place on PlayStation. So it's essentially just equalizing with PlayStation. The PS5 only supports official licensed controllers and accessories, and they're also even just the standard stuff is like what, $60 or $70 now.
Right.
Like it is expensive to buy these things, and so it just doesn't give a cheaper option, even if it would be a standard, not any kind of advantage, quote unquote. It's just a cheaper option. Not you can't have that anymore.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if Nintendo has third party controllers here. It says there are many third party controllers available for the Switch. So Nintendo has this.
There's
Nintendo allows this.
there's third party, but they're authorized third
Right,
party.
right. That's my point. Is that I thought Nintendo would have been the first to say no first party only. That's usually their thing, but so it's only Sony and Microsoft that do this.
Apparently.
You know what that's really going to make happen? That means that number one, PC game fighting stuff is going to go up, and number two, Smash Brothers is going to continue to dominate the fighting game
I mean,
world.
it's gonna be pretty up there. Yeah, there's pretty big spots for Street Fighter and Tekken and whatnot still.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, that's what we got for the news. If you have thoughts about our news articles, whether that be the fighting game situation for or third-party controllers for any sort of gaming system, or the situation of the Rangers and the Diamondbacks in the 2023 World Series, let us
The
know your
true
thoughts.
the true primary topic.
Topic, yeah, the true nerdy griffy. But with that being said, should we get down to the nerdy gritty?
Yes.
So this time of year, as you guys, if you faithful listeners don't know, Fox and I are both committed Christians. We are believers. And so this time of year, what always comes up for us is this conversation of should Christians be engaging with horror fiction in any way, shape, or form? And if those who say yes, in what way or to what extent should Christians be engaging with these things? Because there are Christians out there that have the opinion on Halloween we treat it like any other night of the year,
Hmm.
except we don't open our doors for trick or treaters. We turn off our porch lights. And then we just we pretend like it doesn't exist. On the other hand, there are Christians that say, like me, who I'm like, heck yeah, man. I do this big old, like, in my garage, I turn it into a scene every year, and I welcome trick-or-treaters, and we have a great time with it. There's some in the middle who are like, hey, we hand out tracts with candy, and that's about it. They're kind of all over the map on how specifically they engage with Halloween or horror fiction in general. So today we want to be talking about, should we, why do we think we should or should not, and then finally, to what extent are, like, is there limitations? How permissive should we be with this? So right off the bat, Fox, what do you think? I will say right now, again, we don't interact with the chat this much, but the chat is kind of banging today. Mosaic Fan Art says he hands out comic
Really?
books, and that is outstanding. I love
Oh
that.
wow,
Good choice,
man!
Mosaic.
What an
Good choice.
that's an expensive treat. I'm gonna come where you live. Uh, yeah, the reason I wanted to talk about this, that I brought it up as a possibility, is I've been, I'm on Instagram sometimes. I really don't shouldn't interact with it as much as I do, but I'm on there sometimes, and I've just been seeing, because I interact with faith-based things, I get faith-based suggestions, things like that, and I've been seeing a lot of these, like, in both camps of, like, yeah, it's fine or absolutely not. And what you didn't mention is the option of there are people who actively believe that engaging in any kind of Halloween activity is satanic, not
Mm,
just like good or bad. Like, no, we don't do that, we abstain. It's like, if you do, then you are engaging in the dark arts
right.
for all intents and
You
purposes.
aren't just permissive, you're promoting.
You are promoting evil.
Yeah.
And so and it's just, obviously, if we just go by like Instagram posts, that's not the right way to engage. Those are intentionally, uh what's the word I'm looking for,
Attention grabbing.
exaggerative to
Yeah.
get engagement, to sell something, usually
Clickbaity.
clickbaity. Yes, because a middle of the road opinion, or gray area opinion, does not get a lot of get a lot of traction. And so, but that just got me thinking of, I enjoy horror, but also I do wonder, at what point do we, is this okay, as far as enjoying it as a Christian? There are lots of demonic and, satanic elements in horror movies, just as a trope, as a type of, like, a possession movie is a whole subgenre. uh so how do we deal with those things? Personally, uh, I love the horror genre. I find it fascinating, our desire to instill emotions that we generally don't pursue, that generally are not positive, intentionally. I'm going to go to a movie that's going to scare me. And in 99% of life, I don't want to be scared. Like, it is a positive when this thing makes me feel a way that I generally don't want to feel. And that just feels, that's really interesting to me, that we do that, and the art form of creating that kind of feeling, that sense. So I really enjoy the horror genre for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because of that, I do watch in general horror movies, most, whenever I the feeling strikes me.
And as much as you and I both have this thing where our brains work overtime, and if we watch a movie that's too spooky, then we get spooked for too long, and we don't like that. So,
I have guardrails, and we can get into this, but I do have, like, specific types of spooks that I will not engage with, simply because they do affect me on a level that I don't feel comfortable with.
right.
And that also just have a practical negative effect on, I don't sleep,
Right.
that kind of thing.
Right. Exactly.
And I want to sleep. So yeah, so I do have some guardrails around that.
Uh,
I think you're similar, right?
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yes. As far as like horror movies go, I don't watch much horror films because mostly for that reason, that I think about it a lot and it gets in my brain, and then I'll get spooked when I try to sleep, and I don't like that. But but on the other side, like, I watch thriller films just fine. There are gory
Sure.
movies that I watch. I watched Renfield recently, and did we talk about that last time that I watched Renfield?
Yeah.
We did,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like a gore comedy.
Yeah, and it was a comedy gore movie, and it was funny but gory and whatever, blah blah blah, and it was kind of nothing as far as like evil and spookiness goes for me. But overall, I think that I guess I'm gonna take the big swing already here. I think what it really comes down to is a misunderstanding of what evil is,
Mm,
because when we think of evil in the Halloween sense, we think of uh, skeletons and monsters and werewolves and blood and
white sheet ghosts,
yeah, ghosts and poltergeists
werewolves.
and things like that. And so, altogether, we have this idea of evil as horror movie, and that's it. That's what evil is. It's a horror movie. But in reality, when we look into scripture, evil is something drastically different than that. Evil
Mhm.
is like what's the word I'm looking for here? The physical sins, debauchery. There we go.
Mm,
Debauchery and hedonism, whether it's sexuality or gluttony or all of these things. That's evil. And if
yeah,
people are out there decorating their house with these sorts of things, then not only would that actually be evil, but also everybody around the town would also be like, "Hey, don't do that. Yeah, we don't like that. That's bad. Don't do that."
sure,
And so
yeah.
I think it really comes down to this misunderstanding of what evil really is or what is meant to be as a Christian. I don't know. What do you think of that?
I mean, I'd agree to a certain extent. Yeah, we sometimes fall into this like just imagery. Certain images are inherently bad. Like, so we talk about, oh, there's ghosts, and so that's a spooky evil thing. But you know, it really lacks all context a lot of times, because if it's just the simple idea of a ghost, then Lord of the Rings is evil because it contains ghostly creatures.
Right.
It has zombies, it has whites in it. In Fellowship of the Ring, there are scary, they are portrayed as scary, but oftentimes the context isn't necessary for this demonization, to use a appropriate word, of anything. It's just the image, it's not the context. It's, oh, you watched a movie that has even demonic possession in it, that's evil. And so, without, and when we lack that context, then yes, like we are misunderstanding what evil is. We just think of these, it's almost just assuming that whatever the culture says, this cultural idea of evil, that is correct. And so therefore, if you are engaging with that cultural understanding of evil, then you are doing something evil. You are engaging in something demonic, or satanic or whatever.
Well, and I think it comes down to fear. If we're
Mm,
afraid of it, we must be afraid of it because it's bad and therefore it's evil. And
mm.
we are scared of skeletons and monsters and things, that
I know
lurk in the night.
skeletons that spook me real bad.
Yeah, yeah. Be careful. There's one inside of you right now. Uh,
Ah!
but there's just like it's these old stories and these old tales and these old fables that we have told. But again, when we get to the biblical aspect of it, saying spooky scary skeletons or having a jack-o'-lantern in your front yard or even celebrating fear in any way shape or form never is said is a bad thing, is never said that it's
Mhm.
evil, never said that it's satanic or anything like that.
Yeah.
And so I mean you even see when you get to the Satanic Church, they're more of a political entity of atheists trying to mock religion in general,
The
but
Satanic Church is not what people think of it is.
not in any way shape or form. But they're like, no, Halloween's nothing to us also. Like, no, this is not a special thing, it's silly. And so I really think it comes down to there's just this misunderstanding of what evil is,
Yes.
and trying to conflate sin with death, which the Bible does that sometimes. It conflates sin and death,
As
but
concepts,
as
yes.
concepts, yes. But having scary zombies and skeletons and death and blood and things like that does not equate sin. Those are
Right.
different things, and therefore
Yeah.
I see no problem with those things and just being fun and goofy with them.
Yeah, I would also say that it also, if we just go with like horror stories, oftentimes when we lack the context, we also just misunderstand the point of them.
Right.
So when we talk about, like, I don't know, like a werewolf story, sure, some of the fear is, oh no, this werewolf is going to get me, and it's scary, and it might be violent, and there might be gore or whatever. But generally, in a good werewolf story, the idea of the werewolf is not just big scary monster. It's this concept of like this beast within us that can be unleashed, and like we lose control of ourselves, and or a ghost, something left behind, unfinished business. Like there's in any good horror story, it's obvious it shouldn't be about, it's like sci-fi. It's not about the spaceships and the whatever. It's about the telling talking about society through this lens. And I think it's the same for horror. When we talk about a vampire story, we talk about longing, we talk about draining other people of their life for our own selfish gain, and this kind of thing where, and it doesn't allow us to live a complete life, or things like that, where we take away the context and all we see is spooky imagery, and therefore it's bad, rather than understanding. I would even say that for a possession story. Let's take the most famous, maybe the most famous horror movie of all time, The Exorcist. The Exorcist is remembered in general pop culture for its very visceral imagery, for this little girl who is possessed by by a demon, and is saying all kinds of very non culturally inappropriate. People generally don't want their children to say these things. Remember, she's all like torn up and scratched. There's some sexual imagery that's in there. She throws up on people, and it's gross, and it like viscerally makes us upset. But the story of the Exorcist is about the priest. It's not about Reagan. It's about the
Right.
priest dealing with his faith and coming to terms with like this just undeniable presence of Satan, or of a demon specifically in this. And like when you look at it through that lens, it's a story told that like anybody can understand, that is a good story, talking about how we deal with our faith and how we confront the things that we might not actually believe, or things like that. And just, but we can't get past these viscerally upsetting things, and so therefore it becomes about that, and therefore it's evil, when in reality that story is a very good story, talking about
Hmm.
faith, and talking about the faith of her mom, and dealing with like, okay, trying every single possible avenue to help her child, until she has to confront the idea that it's not something she knows how to handle, and has to give up control and put her faith in this priest. And like there's just the element of faith there is just more important than the spooky horror story element of it.
I mean, to just emphasize your point here, it means that it's not just that horror, it's okay. It's not just that it's okay that horror exists. Horror is
Yes.
important in a lot of ways. Horror is
Yes.
important to remind us of death. Horror is important to remind us of what it means to feel protected versus what it means to feel unsafe, to remind us that pain is a real thing. Like there are important parts of horror that uh, matter to us as human beings, as people created in the image of God. The Bible uses fear a lot to talk about things, talking about the fear of God. Now, it's always talking about in more of an awe and majesty kind of way. Like
Yeah, it's not
when you're,
about literally being spooked by God.
yeah, it's more like standing on the edge of a cliff and feeling like this is something so much greater than you that you could be destroyed in it so quickly. Like it's more like that. It's like the majesty of something, but it still leverages fear as an idea often. And therefore, we have to remind ourselves that horror, fear, these are things that are part of what it means to be human and are an important part of our psychology and emotions. But with all that being said, so I think we agree that the absolute no, it's all evil thing is not only not something we agree with, we feel is not, like, I don't want to say illogical because I don't want to insult anybody, but doesn't really reflect what the biblical standards.
It doesn't reflect a willingness to engage with something in good faith.
Right.
To me, it reflects just a black and white mentality, which isn't generally isn't present, I think, in good theology and good
Absolutely.
that, or it just a willingness, or a personal belief that is then leveraged upon everybody.
Well, that's Romans 14, right? And Romans 14 uh, basically, if you don't know, says it's a situation in which the Roman Church has some people who are getting together with pagans to tell them about Jesus, to share the gospel with them, and they are eating food, and that food was food that was sacrificed at a pagan altar. And so other Christians are saying, hey, you shouldn't be engaging in these pagan rituals. You shouldn't be doing this stuff. While other ones are saying, look, man, I'm not celebrating any pagan ritual. I'm having a meal with some people and telling them about Jesus. This is what I should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul then writes them and he says, here's the bottom line, you guys. Those of you who want to eat meat should eat meat. Those of you who don't want to eat meat, don't eat meat. His whole point being, if you are feeling convicted by this thing, don't do it. The sin isn't the thing itself. The sin is you are betraying your convictions. Don't betray your convictions. If this is something that you will feel guilty for doing, that you feel that you are betraying your faith for doing it, then don't do it. It's not that hard. But
Right.
if you are in a place where it is not a blatant sin and you can do this comfortably, then go ahead. And he calls them the weak and the strong and says that neither of them should judge one another and whatnot. And for some people, Halloween is going to be a weak place for them. And that's fine.
Right.
That's okay. If you are a place where you feel like you're doing this and it's going to be betraying your faith, then don't do it. We understand that. It's the condemnation of others that goes against Romans 14. He goes on to say, do not destroy the work of God for the sake of food. And in the same way, you could say, do not destroy the work of God for the sake of some spooky, scary skeletons.
For the sake of trick-or-treating.
Right. Don't cause division in your church, in your community for this thing.
The other to put another point here, the other problem is that a lot of times, if I were to dress up my child as Spider-Man and go from door to door and say trick or treat and get candy and then come home and eat that candy and we carved a pumpkin, nothing about that. Like, there's
If you
no
did that on
skeleton.
Thanksgiving, people would be confused, but it'd be fine.
There's no skeletons or zombies or demons involved in that. This is just a ritual of let's go get some, a cultural ritual that you don't. Not everything involved has everything to do with these other things. Sure, I can understand. Oh, we don't watch demonic possession movies because that X, Y,
Right.
Z. Sure, but that is not the same. That they cannot be equated with. I went over to my friend's house and ate candy, or had a pumpkin spice latte. They're both fall Halloween kind of related, and so there has to be a sliding scale of
It's like
relation here.
wassailing in Christmas, where the whole idea is you go door to door singing songs, and then people give you like a cake or pudding or whatever.
Wait, you can do this?
That's why you used to. That's what wassailing is.
I've never even heard that term. I
Yeah,
did not know
it's used in Christmas carols, like "Here We Go Wassailing" and things like that. But
Cool.
yeah, like there's just these old time things that you would just go around and sing at somebody's house, and the idea was that they would then give you some sort of treat for it, but that was Christmas, so that's okay. Nobody's in a costume. So
that is the ultimate irony is there could be somebody who says all of these things, don't engage in any way about Halloween. It's all demonic. You're all, and then on Christmas, they get a Christmas tree and put it in their living room and put their stockings on these things that are actively copying pagan rituals. Because a Christmas tree has nothing to do with the biblical narrative of the birth of Christ.
Nothing.
This is a desert. There are trees, but there's no Douglas firs in
Jerusalem.
in Jerusalem. So you are actively pursuing and actively copying. These things are taken from other cultures to kind of help what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of a colonization mindset of just integrating multiple different cultures into one and having them celebrate. So
Though I will say that I found out recently that there has been evidence of Christians decorating trees with lights before the winter solstice decoration with light festival was established. So whether or not it's a pagan ritual, we don't actually know. Why Christians do it, we still don't actually know. So yeah, but you're right, it has nothing to do with the birth of Jesus.
But let's also talk about the tradition of giving gifts. That's nice, not a bad thing, but to say it's because Jesus was a gift to the world seems like a pretty
You're definitely shoving that in there.
No, I think we just like buying stuff for people and getting stuff, and that's
or the idea Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. Like these are
Thank you.
things
Yes,
that
these mascots.
I will say that people who don't celebrate Halloween also likely usually don't include Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny in there. But still, the idea here is that these things are not any more or less biblical than Halloween. So,
Yeah.
okay, but
Yeah.
I do want to bring something up though, because this is important to mention here. What
Please.
about the explicitly sinful things of Halloween, like witchcraft or, demonism, things like that? Like, how do you think we should be perceiving / engaging in these things as it pertains to Halloween? Like, for example, my daughter and I went to a Spirit Halloween, and we saw a book there called Wikipedia, Wiccapedia, and it really was just like, hey, here's the basics of Wiccanism. And but it was a book there in the Halloween store. There were also pentagrams being sold there and other like witchcraft symbolism there. How do you think we should be engaging with these things, or should we be avoiding these things as Christians? What do you think?
It's up to you. I mean, this falls right in line with what Paul talks about throughout Paul's letters. He talks about, like, to some I became this, to some I became that. I became many things to, so that I might win a few. And, I do the things I do. Like, there is, scripturally speaking, very little that is concretely sinful. Obviously, there are some things. Murdering somebody, by definition, is going to be a sin.
Adultery, debauchery. There are definitely
There's
lists of things.
There are lists of things, but a lot of those are general categories, and these specifics are often, I believe, left up to the personal preferences of somebody. And so, it's a lot of things in life, a lot of the very specific things. The Bible didn't mention a Spirit Halloween Wikipedia book. It might talk about witchcraft in general senses, but it might not even be referring to the same thing in general. When we talk about witchcraft, it might also be talking about, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Essentially drug use, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a whole other thing.
I'll speak to that if you let me.
Sure, please.
Yeah.
Please.
So I actually, this is something that I've researched as a nerd for a while here, is this whole idea of witchcraft and should be engaging with it, because a lot of people then try to apply that to any sort of fiction that involves witchcraft. Harry Potter, Dresden Files, things that I genuinely enjoy, anything that, any video game that has magic in it, whatnot. But the reality is that in two parts of the scripture, witchcraft is referred to, and in separate ways, in separate circumstances. In the Old Testament, it's the word for witch is actually, or word for magic and for spellcasters, sorcerers usually, is the word for whisperer, to whisper. And the idea was that you were whispering prayers to another deity and therefore casting spells via these whispers. And what the warning against that is specifically against pagan worshiping of other gods or other deities, and relying on other powers. The reality of the matter is that there are other powers in this world. The very beginning, Elohim, in the beginning, God, Elohim, God of many gods. The idea is saying that there is the one true God. He is God among all. But below that, there are tons of other powers and tons of other, spirits and demons and angels and whatever else. There are other powers in the world. That's a fact. God is above all of them, though. He's the God of many gods. So the Old Testament idea of witchcraft is saying, don't engage with those other powers. Don't go to them. Don't rely on them. So which is where I would actually say, like, don't pick up that Wikipedia book, because that is other powers. That's going to other powers. That's trying to rely on other powers, whatnot. In the New Testament, the Greek word for witch is pharmakos, which is where we get our word pharmacy from, because they were essentially spiritual drug dealers. They would give you spiritual experiences depending on the drugs they gave you. There was uses of opium, uses of like hemp and things like that within that time. And the Bible is basically specifically saying don't do drugs, which is why pharmakoa is listed among physical sins. When it says don't engage in witchcraft, it's usually followed by don't engage with debauchery or sexual, what's the word that don't do this thing? I can't remember the second part of that. Immorality, sexual immorality, and things like that. And so all this is like, it's saying this in a physical sense, and it's saying, hey, don't recreationally use drugs. On the other side, there is actually points in the Bible where it says, look for a doctor and do what a doctor tells you. So if a doctor tells you to take aspirin, take aspirin. Do what the doctor says. That's
or
fine.
Prescribes marijuana or,
Right.
THC or whatever. Like that ultimately is the problem here, is the removal of context.
Yes.
The removal of intention behind it. To say that because I dressed my kid up as Spider-Man, my kid dressed up as Spider-Man and went and got candy from our neighbors, they are now a demon worshiper. I'm pretty sure demon worship has to be intentional.
Yeah.
I don't think you accidentally, worship Satan. The kid wanted candy. He if anything, you worship candy. So there has to be an intention. You do not accidentally fall in, just like you don't accidentally worship God. In the same sense. So like these things have to be intentional when you do them, and I would say that's true for when we engage in media. When I watch, a horror movie, when I watch, let's say, The Exorcist, I don't believe I accidentally worship Satan or worship the demon that is Pazuzu, that is specifically in The Exorcist. I don't think you simply are now, this removes the entire idea of grace. So we have to remember that there is grace. Even if you are accidentally sinning, theoretically, you are still forgiven. That does not, if you do not fall out of God's favor. But like watching a movie, reading a book, whatever, playing a game, there are so many ways you can choose to engage with them that do not include an active intention of worshiping Satan or engaging in evil or sin. Maybe I just like the craft of a possession movie. Maybe I'm interested in how that movie interacts with faith. That's, to me, that's the interesting part of The Exorcist, or The Exorcism of Emily Rose is another good one, where it takes this cultural clash between faith and law, essentially, and how should somebody be, and is somebody held liable because they didn't provide medical care for somebody they believe to be possessed, things like that. That's an interesting concept to me. And yes, it also includes scenes that are intended to frighten. So it seems weird to me to then say, well, because you watch that movie, you are intentionally sinning.
And I think it comes down to intention. Like that's really
Yes.
the mindset here. Star Preaching in the chat brings up a great point. I have a Quran on my shelf back here.
Mm-hmm.
I have a Quran on my shelf back here that I've browsed through a handful of times whenever somebody has brought up to me, hey, do Muslims believe that? Or, hey, a Muslim friend of mine has said this or whatever else. And I've busted that out and I've looked through and I've looked at their writings and their stuff. And, he said, what if I bought that Wicca book for that exact same purpose? And I think that's fine. I think there's nothing wrong with that. If your purpose is to use these things in order to draw people closer to Christ, I think that's great. The question is intention. If you are getting these things because you are curious and you want to know a little more about it, and ooh, does this actually work? And I'm interested, like using a Ouija board, even as a game, don't mess with that. Hey guys, don't do that. Your intention is to try and engage with spirits in a way that is not healthy. So don't do that. It's pretty, but if your goal is to buy a Ouija board to then, just put it on a TikTok or to, play a joke on your friend or whatever. That's
to talk about the history of a Ouija board.
Yeah.
Where did it come from?
Totally different intentions in there. And that's what Paul is kind of saying in Romans 14. Check your intentions, check your heart, check where you're at. Yes, there are ways to engage in sin with these things. And this is, I think, the linchpin here. Halloween has nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you engage with witchcraft for the purpose of, having some sort of power or being curious about some sort of other spiritual entities, 365 days of the year, that's a bad idea. Don't do that.
Right.
If your goal is to engage with
it's only okay on a leap year.
the February 29th is the only time. No, If your goal is to contact a demonic force, that's not okay 365 days of the year. Halloween is not unique or special or anything like that. Don't do those things. Halloween in of itself, I mean, even in the name, Halloween comes from All Hallows Eve. It's Hallows Eve. It's the day before All Saints Day. It's a Christian holiday originally. Like, these are things that we have just mixed up and gotten confused with. And at the end of the day, I don't think there's anything wrong with Halloween as a concept. Zero things wrong with Halloween as a concept. If you choose to engage in sinful things on Halloween, don't do that, but also don't do that the other 364 days of the year.
Right. It does not become worse somehow.
Right. Halloween is
your
not unique in that way.
Sin separates us from God entirely, regardless of the day of the year.
Yeah.
If you have not received forgiveness, of course. I also want to point out the fun irony. I remember I had a professor tweet this when I was in college. Just say, hey, Halloween was originally a Christian holiday. A harvest festival is a pagan ritual. So if you say, I'm not going to engage in Halloween, but I'm going to go to my church's harvest carnival, celebrating the land and its, birthing its fruit to it, like that is a pagan ritual. So let's think about these things
There's
a little
so
more.
much irony in that. Oh my gosh. Which is why I love trunk or treats, man. Trunk or
Sure.
treats are the 100% leaning into the, hey, you know what this day is really about? Kids in costumes getting candy.
Getting candy
And we're going to
hanging
do
out and
that.
having
We're going to
fun.
give kids in costumes candy, and it's fun. And we like that. Trunk or
Right.
treats, man. I love that.
Right.
All right. Hey, any final thoughts, Fox, on this matter, engaging with horror in general?
It's always just a personal. I do not engage. To go back to my guardrails, I do not engage with demonic or generally demonic kind of movies, specifically because I believe in the spiritual realm. I believe that demonic possession is a possibility, and when those things make me afraid, it is an unfounded fear. I do not believe I am in danger of that, and therefore to be afraid of it is unfounded, and I don't want to be in that spot, which is why I tend to stick to horror that is just like slasher movies, things like that, or that are in that realm. But it's just my final thought is find your own guardrails, find your own tastes, find your own likes, find what you like, and be honest with yourself. This is a personal matter. If you choose to engage in something that is termed horror, why are you doing that? And determine for yourself, is this sinful?
Yeah, I think scripturally it comes down to this idea of conviction. And if you feel like you're betraying your convictions to do something, hey, then don't do that. But that includes anything and everything. If you feel like it's going to betray your convictions to go to a bar, then don't go to the bar, guys.
Right.
It's going to be fine. Just don't do that. And that has nothing to do with horror or whatever else. Don't betray these convictions. But on the flip side, don't judge people who don't have the same convictions. It's not that big of a deal. So at the end of the day, I will just say horror in general is actually an important form of art that reminds us of what it means to be alive, that reminds us of fear, that reminds us of a lot of different things, but it's not something inherently evil. I think thinking that horror is inherently evil is a misunderstanding of what evil is, biblically what evil is, and that it's got to be your own personal convictions. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, with that all being said, we're going to move on to the last part of our podcast here, just talking about what we've been up to. Fox, what have you been up to, my friend?
So I went on a trip.
And your favorite rocket ship.
Sure. I was on vacation, so I haven't really watched. I want to
Little
watch
Einsteins. Sorry, I'm a parent and I watched Little Einsteins with my kids. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm a parent and I haven't watched any of that. No, so I haven't watched many movies or anything recently. We were in Salt Lake City visiting family, and but while I was there, I did finish the manga of Neon Genesis Evangelion. I don't know how you pronounce that. I always want to say
Evangelion. I think it's Evangelion in the manga, like in the actual.
I always want to
anime.
say Evangelion, the Greek term. But so I was reading through it. It's only like 14 chapters long as far as like the books. I was reading the kind of 3-in-1 things, but I was like, while I was reading it, I was like, there is no wasted time in this. It feels so much unlike other manga. There's no filler. There's no like, oh, they just kind of extend. If you're reading like Haikyuu, the volleyball sports one, you're just like, okay, this whole chapter took place while the ball was being served. Like, it's just like this. And then I found out, oh, it's because the anime came first. This is a manga adaptation. It's a very rare thing that happens where the
Right.
anime came first, and so the manga just the anime didn't do that. It was a very specific story that was being told in the manga. So anyway, that makes it one of the best mangas to read, in my opinion. Obviously, the story is well renowned. It gets weird. It gets confusing.
It's Hideo Kojima-esque.
I need to do a bit of a kind of a review, look through some other people's ideas and get some things explained to me. But it is, to me, one of the best ones to read because it does not waste its time. It's not like, if you're going to read the manga version of it instead of it, just read it. It's way faster. Every chapter has something that happens that's important. It engages with these spiritual topics that are in a really interesting way. And so big hot take here, Neon Genesis Evangelion is good.
What? Nobody's ever thought that before.
Yeah, it's this little local thing that I found that nobody knows about.
It was my introduction into quote unquote real anime, serious anime. Like, I had watched like Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z before that, but Neon Genesis Evangelion was like my not my gateway, but like my first steps into the
Yes,
nitty gritty of anime and whatnot. I want to start watching season 2 of Good Omens, so I have gone back and I am about 3/4 of the way through season 1 of Good Omens.
Okay.
If you guys don't know Good Omens, it's an Amazon original TV show based on the Good Omens book by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett, and the whole idea is that Armageddon is finally coming, but there is an angel and a demon who have lived on Earth doing their respective angelic good things, drawing people toward good things, and demonic bad things drawing people toward bad things. But really, they've started to become friends. And overall, what they realized is, on the demon side of things, they'll be told, hey, go tell this person to do bad. And on the angel side, they've been told, hey, go tell this person to do good. And they've realized that so often that ends up it just being a wash, that instead they can both just kind of do nothing and hang out with each other and things will be fine. It ends up being the same, And so that's how they have lived for thousands of years, is for the most part not doing anything and then just taking credit for the things that happen and whatnot. That's more the Crowley, more the demonic side of he's just taking credit for all this stuff. But on the angelic side, he's just trying to live like a good life and be a good person and whatnot. Anyway, Armageddon is coming and they both realize, no, we kind of like humanity and we kind of like the world and we kind of like things. So what can we do to stop it? And so it's an angel and a demon working together to try and stop the end of the world. And it's really fun and it's really cute. And again, it's one of those things that is very, very unbiblical. Do not think of this as a religious commentary in any way, shape, or form, but it is definitely something that speaks to what it means to be like redemption, and like this whole demon's ideas of what it means to fell and what it meant to sin. Like Crowley often talks about the fact that all he did was he had questions. Like when he fell, it's because he questioned things. He didn't mean to fall. It was kind of an accident. And it just really goes into this idea of like, what does it actually mean to be against God and all this other stuff. And it's so good. And it's so well written and it's so well acted. And there's like the friendship between these two is so sweet. And it's just a top notch television show. I highly recommend watching Good Omens if you can. Great show.
All right. Yeah, I read Good Omens a ways back when I was really getting into Neil Gaiman. I haven't watched the show though. I did watch Blue Beetle.
Ooh, all right.
Which was apparently still in theaters at the time I watched it, which I was surprised about. It was fine.
Yeah, not surprised. It looked fine.
It's essentially at this point you're just comparing the story of a superhero to another story of a superhero, because there's just so many. So it's just the problem of so many superhero movies. If you're just going to do another origin story, it's always going to feel like somebody else's. Yeah. So this essentially feels like, what if Spider-Man was Iron Man?
Yeah.
Which is also kind of what Spider-Man is in the Marvel universe now too. So So, but yeah, it's about a kid who gets a beetle, this weird space beetle thing, like inhabits him and gives him powers, gives him this like suit. So he looks like a spider beetle thing, but also that suit gives him like mechanical. He has guns, and
Right.
so it just. And so, regardless of that, the movie was fine. It was just a standard kind of origin movie. It wasn't particularly bad. I didn't find a lot of the humor very funny, but also I do think a lot of it, it's a like a Latino, Latinx family in their version of Miami, essentially
Yeah.
a DC version of Miami. So a lot of the humor probably wasn't really meant for me, which I'm perfectly fine with. It just didn't really fall. It didn't really hit me in the way that I think it hit some others, or would hit some others. Um, but ultimately, it wasn't terrible. I'd say it was, as far as DC movies go, pretty good.
Low bar. Low bar.
It's pretty high up there. The other problem while you're watching it is, I know for a fact that this is, if you care about the whole cinematic universe that DC is and doing and stuff, this is pointless. Like, this doesn't actually have anything to do with the kind of the reboot,
Right.
which doesn't matter. If it's a good movie, it's a good movie. But if it's not a great movie, at least it might have something to do with something else, and you might have like interest in that. This didn't have anything of it just kind of fell flat in every way. So it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm waiting for it to come on HBO Max, and then I'm
Yep.
looking forward to watching it. Especially
Smart.
as a Latin person, I was interested in that aspect of it. But overall, yeah, it looked like the finest fine movie of fine movies.
Yes.
So I have been on the note of DC. My wife just went out of town to go hunting, and so for the past 3 nights, I have just been binging DC animated movies for
Oh,
funsies,
okay.
and they're good. Sometimes they're cheesy. I think sometimes they feel like they need to rely on the animated side of things and still have Superman look into the camera and say, being bad is bad, but being good is good. And then, the more comes across the scene or something, the screen or something like that. But the funny thing is he does that after just like beating the crap out and like pretending to murder the elite. And so like at the other point, what these movies do really well is they actually show sort of the violence of the whole superhero side of things. Like, they don't shy away from that, and they don't do it in a joking way. They do it in a way of like, no, these are actually people that are hitting each other, and there is blood and broken bones, and now they have to like go back and recover from these like severe injuries. And also in these situations, sometimes people are going to die, and you have to deal with those repercussions. Overall, I feel like they do a really good job of character writing and creating these stories that show like the real nitty gritty of superheroism, but then putting it all in 87 minutes. You know what I mean? And just saying,
Mhm.
this is all we need, man. Doesn't need to be 2.5 hours long. I enjoy the DC animated films. I really do. Some of them are outstanding. Like Under the Red Hood is one that is just like, so good. But overall, like, I haven't watched a bad one yet. And they're pretty fun. Like, again, if you're looking for less than an hour and a half movie just to kill some time and to learn about a DC character you haven't known about, like I watched the John Stewart Green Lantern one, and just got to learn a little more about John Stewart. It's good stuff, man. It was really
Yeah.
enjoyable.
I miss him on the Daily Show every day. That's all I've got.
That's okay. I got one more then. I have been digging in a little bit more to BGA, the Board Game Alliance, and it's a online board game like client where if you pay, I think it's $25 a year or something like that, and then you can play any of the board games that they have on there, which is hundreds, if not thousands. And so I recently played both Azul, A-Z-U-L. So Azul is what I want to say, but I'm sure Los Gringos, you white folks say Azul. And
It's actually pronounced Azul.
never mind. And then I'm currently playing, you just got it. There it is. Automobiles is a game that I'm playing right now. So Azul is the whole idea is that you're creating a mosaic. Hey, Mosaic fan art in the chat. Nice, glad you're here. You're creating a mosaic, and so there are tiles that you want to put on your mosaic, and you're taking turns choosing tiles, and you want to try and do the next thing. The game itself was pretty simple. Like the actual taking turns, I will take these tiles, I will put them on my board. There's supposed to be some like a little bit of, okay, if I take those, then he can't take those, but also I want those. And so there's definitely strategy in there. But really what I loved about Azul is just how pretty it was. It's supposed to be in like the Mediterranean area. And so it's like very Mediterranean looking, and the colors are very blue and tan,
Well,
like
that
with all
makes
these very,
sense.
like beach themed things. And just, it's a gorgeous game. It really, really is a beautiful game. On the other side of things, I'm playing Automobiles right now, and this one is much more strategy. It's a game where you have a piece that's racing around a track, and there are different colored like bits on the track. If you get closer to the inside of the track, it's darker, and if you get closer to the outside of the track, it's lighter. And then you are purchasing third gear, fourth gear, fifth gear, and sixth gear tiles, as well as like, or not tiles, like cubes, as well as like other special ability cubes. And then you randomly draw them, and you're trying to strategize yourself racing around these tracks, trying to get, the darker cubes or sorry, the darker lanes are much, much longer than the lower lanes, meaning you're going faster. But if you go fast, you also get wear. Wear is a cube that does nothing. It just waste. You get to draw 7 cubes, and a wear is a waste of a cube. So there's like a ton of strategy in this, a ton of like figure things out. The game itself looks pretty plain. It's just cars in a circle. Again, on the other side of Azul just being beautiful. But overall, it's really, really fun. And Automobiles is one I'm probably going to come back to. I'm really enjoying it. So
Nice.
all right, well, that's what I got.
Yeah, same.
Well, everybody, thank you so much for being here. We love that each and one of you have been here today. Thank you to those of you in the chat who have been chatting with us. If you guys don't know, if you're listening to this later, we live stream these podcasts. And although we don't mention the chat too much, after each podcast, we do come back and we go back through all the conversations, and we chat with the chat and, go over things. So if you want to come join us live, we'd love that. We also want to say a big thank you to Granger for the use of our theme song, All My Friends Have Wi-Fi, and So Do Most of My Neighbors, off of the album Dear Sam. Thanks, Granger. Your music is very good, and we like you.
You're all right. You're all right in our book. Hey, yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting us just by being here. There are other ways to support Save Point Ministries, though. You could head to our website and subscribe, or just donate financially. You could do that by subscribing to the Twitch as well. I do also want to do a quick advertisement. I'm super excited about it. I've made the mistake of playing Magic the Gathering Lord of the Rings set, and I'm fully 2 feet back into Magic the Gathering. So anyway, we're going to be doing a box opening, opening a booster box for Lost Caverns of Ixalan, the new set coming up. We're going to be doing that on, what did we say, November 18th.
Yeah.
Will be the evening of November 18th. It's a Saturday. It's the weekend the set drops that it comes out. We'll be opening a whole booster box. So come hang out on the stream. We'll have more details. We'll put more details out there. I'm not sure what time we'll start, but that'll be in just 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks now. I'm very excited. I want to get some Jurassic Park cards because they're fun, and I'm a shill. Yeah, come watch that. Come support. Come see me gamble by opening some Magic cards.
One more time, thank you so much for being here, and always remember that saved games save lives.
Bye.
My voice sings all night, and this is what my heart sounds like. It's what my heart sounds like. It's what my heart sounds.
All right, chat, welcome back. We're here. That's the end of the podcast, but now we're here to go back through the comments here and see what kind of things y'all were talking about. There was some stuff that I did want to check on. Like, first of all, Kodo007, not sure if you're still here, my friend, but thanks for jumping in here. Kodo said, you guys are amazing. Keep up the awesome work. Much love. Thanks, Kodo. We appreciate you for being in here. All right, hang on. Let me scroll back. We got some stuff here. Barra saying he is not a Marvel guy. It just became too much for me about the Marvel MTG set. Just never ending. Can't say I'm a fan of Magic jumping on the coattails of this big L. That's fair,
Oof.
man. For a lot of people who like really appreciate Magic, this can really seem like a cash grab, and I get that. I really do. If I were still into Magic as much as I used to be, I think I would feel the same way. But now that now that I just kind of play for funsies and I don't really buy stuff other than the Lord of the Rings set anymore, it's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has their own threshold. It's not inherently bad or good to like or not like a specific thing. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine with whatever.
He also doesn't know who Kitty Pride is. He says, sounds like a modern hipster from Portland, Kitty Pride. That's fair.
Shadow. Actually, she does go by Kate Pride now. So
Nobody knows that. Nobody knows that.
Yeah, because nobody reads the current comics.
Mosaic dropping his knowledge here. Mantis was the bride of King at one point. Luke Cage is the current mayor of New York. Nice.
That's true.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
That was that was a great series when he ran for mayor. It was a whole thing, but dang, that was really good.
Barrett says
Legitimate.
Barrett says Golgari has a lot of spiders. That's a good idea. We could do like a green black for Madam Web because she's the
Okay.
spider thing. So I like that.
Yeah,
I like
would
that.
make sense. Sure.
Barra talking about baseball, which is fine. I'm glad.
Wait, is this Yogi Berra?
That's the idea. Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Let's see here. Mosaic fan art. Honestly, Easter Bunny and Santa Claus would be considered idols if we really want to get down to it. And yeah, it's like,
Potentially, yes.
and really, I think that's a big part of it is the idea of Halloween. Some people idolize isn't the word I want to use. What's like where there's famous and infamous? What's idolize and then to put something on a pedestal because it's bad, demonize.
Demonize.
That's great. Yeah. People demonize Halloween in a way that it shouldn't be. Like they put it on this pedestal and say, look how evil that is. When really they're just like, no, we're Candy Day. Can we please just be Candy Day? Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Let's see here. Star Patron. It was a good line. People think that evil is something out there instead of realizing that we have evil within us.
Or have the capacity to
Right.
to engage in evil.
And I would say both is true. Like we have evil in us, but we do all have to realize there are like, powers and authorities out there that are, other things like there is evil out there. There is
I
evil
guess. I mean,
but-
that kind of makes it feel like a Kingdom Hearts darkness concept when it's just that like this abstract idea of evil. Evil exists in action. Evil exists as a descriptor of things we do. I would not say that evil exists outside of actions we take.
But there are things out there that want you to do evil,
Oh,
that are
sure,
actively trying to bring you to evil.
sure.
And would you not
but
also say
but if
that
I
is evil?
but if I don't, well, yes, but that's an action. That's like evil. Evil isn't a thing. Evil isn't. There's nobody that can be described as an evil person.
I see what you're saying. There are, then I will say there are powers and authorities out there that want us to do evil.
Oh,
And
100%.
that is
Prowling around like a lion looking
Yes.
for food to devour. Yeah.
that is out there. Yes.
Yes.
Mosaic fan art on the idea of horror being like something more about philosophy, talking about the original Frankenstein and that
Mhm.
shifted in the that shifted with Universal and the Frankenstein movie and whatnot, but originally it was really about what it meant to be human and like how
Mhm.
humans treat each other and
Being
who's
afraid
really
of
the
our
monster.
own abilities and our own power.
Yeah,
The things
yeah.
we create can be destructive. It's like Godzilla.
Really stoked the flames during the Satanic Panic. Oh man, that's one thing that we didn't talk about was the Satanic Panic. That's something we could definitely be.
Oh, a lot of it, yeah, is stoked as political power.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mosaic fan art asking, "Are you slamming me? I'm a pharmacist." To which I called him a sinner. So.
Yeah, you're a Satanist, obviously.
Let's see here. Star Patron, what were you saying? DBZ isn't a real anime? No, it's a great anime, but a lot of people consider it a mainstream anime. Not the fact, like, not compared to like me. I watched Witch Hunter Robin and the original Full Metal Alchemist and like all these sort of more obscure things. Anyway, Flashpoint
Okay.
Paradox is fantastic. Yeah, Flashpoint Paradox is a great animated film, most definitely. Let's see. All right. Well, Fox, you got any other thoughts for our chat here?
I don't think I do.
I will actually just toss in on the idea of the satanic panic thing was this really interesting time because there was actually like psychologists that came in who were like, hey, you guys are overreacting. It's really not that big of a deal. It's okay. But it was kind of like, that's not true. I'm not going to actually associate those two things. I was going to say kind of like school shootings, but that is actually terrible. And there are things that we can point to that are the problem with that. So not like that. In the 70s and 80s, serial killer fame was really big with like the Son of Sam and things like that going on at the time, and the Zodiac killer. And so there was a lot of fear of things like that. And then there was a kid who he was a 16-year-old that went to college too soon. He had some mental health issues already. He went to college and ended up wandering around some tunnels and killing himself. And what they found, like what they went to see why did he do this, is they found out that he played Dungeons and Dragons. And so that they said, well, he must have been wandering around these tunnels because he thought it was a dungeon. And his friends must have manipulated him into doing this. Then they made a movie. It was Tom Hanks's first film ever, called Mazes of Madness.
Mazes and Madness. Yeah.
Like just all these crazy things that just got way, way out of control.
To be clear, I'm not laughing at the situation. I'm laughing at the like, well,
Response.
Here's a thing from his life, and now let's one for one. This is the result.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's just sad. And then that just stuck. That stuck around to today. Star Patron was saying that he recently just spoke to a person recently that was saying that, wait, isn't D&D evil? Isn't it satanic? Like, that's still a thing that's going on in culture today, and it's weird.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a revelation of ignorance. It's ignorance. It's and just lack of context. Could you
and again,
use
ignorance
D&D?
not in an insulting way, in a literal way. They do not know what
I don't
they
know.
could otherwise
and
know.
I've heard a thing and have assumed that thing is correct.
Yeah. Well, everybody, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you guys. As a reminder, all this is just another part of the larger ministry that is Save Point Ministries, in which we help people find home churches to plug into, specifically nerd-friendly churches. So if you are somebody who, wait, oh, I didn't put the A in there. Find a church. There we go. If you are somebody who doesn't have a home church, or maybe you spend most of your time online, or maybe you're at a church right now, but you never really connected with anybody. If you're looking for a place to plug into that will have a physical, real world community, but also will like have some of your same hobbies and like some of the things that you like, follow the link in the chat. We would love to plug you into a church. I'm actually going through for a couple of clients right now. We'd love to add you to the list. So we love that each and every one of you are here today, but always remember that there is a church out there that would love it if you were there. We'll see you later, guys.
Bye bye.